Okay, that was the structured side of things. And we see that what we had as an infrastructure, as technology, has been advancing for about the last 10 years now, but we have reached a maturity level in many ways that we can actually employ it, and that a lot of companies did that. Unfortunately, we are a little behind here, about at least 3 to 4 years, I would guess, especially in Central Europe, in using these technologies. So you can see from all markets worldwide, the pickup, the employment rate, the installation rates is the lowest in Germany. So as usual, we in IT, we are the late mover, the last mover, and sometimes that's pretty beneficial. So you can have all the other ones make the early mistakes, but sometimes I think we should look that we are not moving too late to make use of technology that has proven its worth and its benefits. But now at the new challenge, the polystructured data. Everything outside of the transactional systems that we usually tackle for business intelligence and data warehousing. And what we talk about here is outside of the typical numbers. We look at texts, we look at documents, we look at images, video files, sometimes maybe even audio. This is a chart coming out of this McKinsey study I talked about in the very beginning of this presentation. And what they did is they looked at different industries, and what type of data is actually generated and stored there, and then in a way made available for analysis. And what you can see is quite different for the industries. Audio is not in that high demand, but it's pretty sure that it's for many interesting, it gets more and more interesting in taking a look at this data. And we recently ran a survey on our own interactions with customers that are mostly here in Europe. And we can actually say for the last 18 months, we have seen projects in about every industry taking a look at data outside of the transactional systems. So it's car manufacturers looking at the service records, trying to make sense of that. It's trying to look at the social media data, so the car forums, people are talking about cars. It's about retailers trying to optimize their stores and their customer interaction. It's about logistics companies looking at their supply chain. It's even the mid-sized production companies trying to analyze more of their production data. So there's a lot of data coming out of machines, and companies are growingly aware that there is a lot of worth in having a closer look at this data. And so we can actually see in a lot of industries by now pretty good examples that they are able to make use of this type of data to their benefit, to actually come to a competitive advantage. And it's very diverse. It's really from customer interaction to optimizing supply chains. It's looking at production. It's about servicing machines. It's about making use of sensor data to be better able to understand what's happening, and so on. So it's really a pretty diverse field, but we can actually state that we have reached a maturity level where you can find about every industry good examples where leading companies can make use of this data and actually find a competitive edge in that. So they are faster, they are better, provide better quality, they're able to provide goods at less cost, and so on. And this is an interesting maturity step because now you get the interest of the whole industry usually. And what I showed you in the beginning is basically it arrived at the boardroom, it arrived at the management levels. They all see, okay, there should be something interesting in here. And we have the notion, at least we have the feeling right now, that being able to use data better than the competitor could actually transform complete industries. And there were some examples. For example, if you look at retail today, this is an industry that has already been transformed by data. So the world's leading retailer is Amazon. And it's growing like crazy while the rest of the industry is slowing down. And it's simply to one reason, it's not only the online business, it's to another reason that is pretty clearly they are able to understand the customer better. And this is the asset they have. And we see examples for that in other industries also. And business leaders are really concerned. They are aware of what's happening. They see that companies that are able to use the data better could actually transform industries, and they better be with it, because otherwise they will go under. What I mean with polystructured data here, I pick up this as an example because it's quite striking. What we say it's data outside of the transactional system, and we say it's polystructured because it's usually non-relational. And often it comes in not well-defined structures, and even worse, it often comes in structures that are frequently changing. And this is the complete nightmare for every data warehouse administrator. Because usually you try to set up a well-defined, stable running data integration process that needs to have a stable set of data in a well-defined structure to be able to transform that into another well-defined structure. That's our data warehouse model. And now we handle data like this. So eBay, another retailer with a pretty big edge on data. So they store about more than 6 petabytes now, only to be able to make better marketing campaigns, to detect fraud, and so on. And what they do is basically they record every click you do on the website. But what happens now is, with this tracking and this behavioral analysis, that's what they want to do. They want to understand the behavior of people to be able to serve them better, to make a better offer on the next page that is displayed. So, but what they do is, when you do a click anywhere on this page, is they store everything they show to you. So we want to understand, if we show to you a laptop, will you be more interested in laptops after? Will there be a higher probability that you buy a laptop or not? Or should I rather show to you an iPad or something else, or telephone? So what they do is, with every click, they're not only storing what you clicked on and the hyperlink and what maybe was in the URL or whatever, but they will also show every single image that they show to you. So one click could produce a data set, very long, very big actually, lots of images included. But if you look at different structures of eBay pages, you get a pretty good feeling that another click on another page could create a very short data set with maybe no image at all, with just a refer in it. So every single click creates a new data set that is not predefined in structure. So now the big question is how to handle that. Pretty sure we'll not integrate that into a relational database, because this creates a nightmare. This will have to be very, very sophisticated data modeling to be able to handle that. You can, obviously, but the effort is simply too high. So what they come up with is basically big data technology. And these big data technology for polystructured data, for data that's not structured or not well defined, or has only a limited structure, this is the challenge now, how to handle that. And basically, this is coming from the west coast of the US. So all these internet companies, they were facing data in amounts not seen before in businesses. They were really collecting hundreds of terabytes and petabytes of data. So all the Googles, Facebooks, Yahoos were employing lots of developers that actually develop new databases, new systems to be able to handle this type of data. And what they did then afterwards is, at least partly or fully, they put it out to an open source community, at least derived versions of what they were themselves using. So today a lot of the big data technology we see can be tracked back to initiatives coming out of these companies. And basically they were trying to tackle a problem that other companies didn't have before in that size, in that scale. So they need to do something. And what we can say today is that Hadoop, as an open source framework, is now pretty dominant. It actually made its way out of the many so-called NoSQL initiatives that were looking at ways to handle and store data outside of the relational model. I think this is pretty sure now the dominant concept that has been accepted and is the one going forward.